Hello everybody, my name is Jared and welcome to Jarred Gaming. Welcome to Tiny Bunny. Now, at the first sound of the name of this game, you might think this is a cute little game, but as you can see by the title screen, then that's not the case. I really don't know that much about this. I seen this a while ago and wanted to play it, but never got around to it, and now I'm going to get around to it, so let's just dive right in. This is a visual novel type game, so expect a lot of reading. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twinned in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with its inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12, after all. Ooh. Oh, there is a freaking like fox or something in that. Was it always there? I don't know. Hey, put away your... It's Mom. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. Oh, how could any parent discourage their kid from reading, even at the dinner table? Let them read because they might not read anywhere else, and there needs to be more reading in this world. Fine, we'll hide it. I didn't protest and put the book back about Conan the Barbarian. Okay, you know, there are other things to read. I'm sure that's perhaps more educational for a kid of that age. I don't know. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. Cookies at breakfast? She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. I get porridge, and she gets cookies. What the hell? Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Cousteau Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. Absolutely terrifying, child. You do not want to go there. Or how cold the black forest is at night. Oops. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? I don't know. It's, I think, Russian? Karina. Ha! That's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No. She's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? Ooh. Ooh. An old crone. I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Tiger is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you onto the ground. And that would be it. Thanks, Grandma. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of the conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her own funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. The coffin? It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material. Ew. On the inside, I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with grey faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olia was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly little woodland creature. Well, you want my porridge too? The cookies wasn't good enough for you? I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Olia, look. It's a fox. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside on the window. Look, here's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up. Okay, Mom, jeez. Yes, just a moment. I didn't see anything. Hurry up, we don't have much time. Ah, there it is, but it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Be nice to your kids, Mom. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. No! No! My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, come on, shave it off, it stings. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olia always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, what's the point in all of this? Through the wall. It's all for your sake, Dad would reply, for the sake of our family. I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with D. Devo? Oh, divorce. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again? You said you believed me yesterday. Have anybody seen my car keys? I'd remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did and maybe not. Thanks, very helpful. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still... Karina, please, stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket along with the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl? There was no owl. Oh, but there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Olia sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes the size of an apple each with her fingers. Last year you had a babai in your closet, and now this owl. What is a babai? Papa, I saw it. Olia shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes, so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he'd just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on an incredibly worn-out cassette tape which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. How do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and I was alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olia had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would just jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped her to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Oh! Is that the owl? It's horrible. And then Oya said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect at my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind the desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares filled with icy sneers made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school could burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it, doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that much. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of new offensive name for me worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olia begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagined Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around." Anton is not around. I imagined my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who will ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little. Now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, crying like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easy going during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts, too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's like someone was playing it there, amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Oh, let's open our window and look at what creepiness is outside, playing music for us. Oh, it's bright out. Oh, what? Someone was dancing in the field. Oh my. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment, and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place and, I could swear, pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Ooh! Oh, I don't like that. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints, till it was devoured by the pitch-dark shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right and circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with the blanket as if it would protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up onto her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me through the whole procedure, and now lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating those same words. On the island of Boyan, underneath the blemished sun and the sea of color blues, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone, God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sounds scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them and drilled the floor with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then, the doorknob twitched. Slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear, my wet fingers clutched the blanket. Ooh. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. Darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. 2 Night. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out from the gaping black hole. 2 Night. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you sleep. Wait, what? Wait a minute. My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. Okay, the evil voice was perhaps a bit premature then. I almost screamed from relief. Oh yeah? I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olia frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I am so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olia down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to a room and watch the video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? Oh, the question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, in just a moment. Whoa! I was eaten. Ooh. Wow. This is really cool. That's why I didn't want to laugh at only an owl in the morning, because I shat and pissed myself in my own bed. Ding dong. Could be knocking at our door here in the middle of nowhere. No one's knocking, Anton. It was the ringing of the doorbell. We don't know anyone around here. Ooh, does Mom have a visitor? So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mom was urging me to hide in the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Olya always hides. Tony, come here. Ooh. I felt like kids' bells were tied to my feet but still dragged them towards the hallway. Oh, Polizia? A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? Senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy has gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held a photograph to me. Oh, kitty cat. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school pictured with a wall carpet as a backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anybody around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window? That's right. Your window looks straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No. I haven't seen anything. I see. Don't trust me, do you, Mr. Policeman? I'm innocent. His voice was tired, but his eyes... His stare was long and heavy. It was full of suspicion. What? But I am but a child! I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit, it's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is alright, thank you. Don't be suspicious or anything. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll into police school when his family visited us this summer. Wanted to help other people, just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. Ah, then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone, along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I thought about what he felt, being all alone right now, there. For some reason, I imagined the forest, swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? What would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and eventually forget about me? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. It's definitely in Russia. The officer's nephew came to mind while I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents real proud. I noticed a trail of policemen footprints that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find the lost boy, and I'll get my reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They counted money? Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? You better pack your school bag or go play with Olya. Yeah, okay, Mom, I'll totally do. What, you asked? Oh, I wasn't sure what that sound was. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word, as per normal. So we can... Oh, wow, we've got options. Oh, my, oh, my. What's the eyeball do? Oh, we can... Oh, there's things we could... Wow, holy crap, this game just opened up. We can look at the phone. My parents prohibit me from making long-distance calls, but from time to time I really want to hear my old friends. Sometimes I would just pick up the phone, listen to the low hum of the zoomer and the distant crackling, imagining the wind howling in the ice-laden chords. Wow, this kid has got quite the vocabulary. This cross has seen so many people come and go in the house. It was black, as if it absorbed all human sin from the long years it was hanging under the ceiling. After Grandma died, Mom was going to take it off and hang a horseshoe in its place as a lucky charm. But she cut herself with the cross sharp corner and almost fell from the stepladder. A bit of a sign. Dad called it a sign from above and ordered the cross be left alone in its rightful place. Well, let's see what's under here. The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how does she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Bye is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see that there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still did not believe me. And I like to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, Better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she won't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Should we go to the kitchen and check on Mom? Oh, we can go in the fridge? Let's look at some stuff first. Oh wow, there's lots of stuff to look at. The side of an old ocean freezer was checkered with my childish drawings, Mom's recipes, and all kinds of stickers from bubblegum with dinosaurs that Olya liked so much. Among that still life picture hung a piece of ruled paper with the phone number of the police officer who visited us. First Lieutenant Tikhonov. I read inside my mind, looking at the officer's sprawling handwriting. The scrap of paper was held by 2 pieces of a broken magnet from some old Soviet toy, and those pieces just barely covered up the numbers as if to taunt me. I leaned toward it to unveil the mystery and take the piece to a safer place, where it would wait for its time when I would finally find Volva and be the first to call the police with this happy news. Anton! Mom's reproachful eyes stared at me. What do you need it for? Hands off, you'll lose it. Angering my mom was the last thing I wanted, so I lowered my hand. The decrepit and stain-covered calendar was once my favorite form of entertainment in Grandma's house. I remember waking up and running to the kitchen so I could tear off yesterday's leaf first thing in the morning, as if the coming day would get lost in the taiga forest without my help. One day closer to New Year's, one day closer to Grandma's funeral. I haven't touched this calendar for years now. Since the time they started writing dark and spooky death chants that only made me gloomy instead of funny proverbs and superstitious to be exact. I grabbed a dusty calendar leaf with caution, and it tore off effortlessly. Sadly, the spooky descriptions from my childhood were still there. 7 horses carrying the log. If 7 can't carry, bring the 8th from a ferry. They will take it away and never come back. This is the fate the log cannot escape. Okay, I crumpled the gray leaf and threw it into the waste bin, hoping to get rid of the anxiousness that washed over me. It was spreading inside me like an ink stain on blotting paper. Let's go in the fridge and get a snack. Something in the freezer? I thought that was a human head. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya there, but now I could only see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. I don't know what it is either, and I hate it as well. I guess there's nothing to do but to go outside and defy our mother. Anton! I'll whip you if you make a single step out the door. Okay. Anton, get your ass out of the closet immediately. Sorry! I can't go outside, I can't go in the closet. What is a boy to do? It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. Pictures dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. You're killing me here. So you've had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings. Please go see for yourself. Strange. It worked fine in the morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it. Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. Time to make our break. I opened the front gate and went into the field, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. The silhouettes I saw were around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Ooh, everything was silent. So silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the fort's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much more scary than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone, listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snowy like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Oh, hi, is the tree waving at us? No. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging on one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. There was someone standing there, behind the trees, hiding. Vova? I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, there was something unsettling about that figure. I don't see anything. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally towards the ground. Its blackness. I still don't see it. There was no one there. There's just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. Ooh! A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. Ooh. What? What are we gonna... My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Should we take it? I think we should take it. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Ooh! Shadows! Oh crap. Vova? Oh no, Vova! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. Maybe we should just leave. Oh! I stepped towards the bristly trees and tried to claim my find. Ooh! It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny stream between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. My God. I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Oh crap! Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears would numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing cold air. They sensed my fear. 2 giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried-up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious and quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone. My boots slipped out of the hole and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump and from there ran to my house. Ooh. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings on the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it obediently gave way. Ooh. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less than useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached out into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone. The breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with the last bit of strength I had left my body to. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all his quarrels. She saw my condition at last, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I'd become prey once again and my pursuers were following me into the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays, with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olya? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid already. Mom sighed in annoyance and felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And for what? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Mom, look! This is Vova's mitten. That boy the police was asking about in the morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show where. Let's call the police, like the officer told us to. Mom, look! Ew! A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto my mom's contorted face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the images slip away. Stop it this moment. Olya will go insane if she hears you. She's already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you joke around like this? At that moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cried wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell into my palm. I already took one during the breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with the similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters. And Olya's owl. Am I going mad? Oh, what's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect or my overexerted brain didn't let the fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawning indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See, you can't do it when you try. What? Take off your coat. Are you asleep? What? No, Mom, I was just thinking about what, I wonder. It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came in from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the same exact expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer, and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olya was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar's and Lago's voices died down. I walked past Olya's bedroom and slipped into my own. There's literally someone hiding behind my curtain. The forest didn't look as grim during the day. Entangled tree branches in the distance and snowy field between our house and the forest brought sleepiness to my eyes. But sometimes I would still catch myself looking in the window at the icy treetops instead of doing my homework. There's literally a child or something standing behind the curtain there. I don't like that, and I can't do anything about it. Open the drawer. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. The simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed. I noticed well before. Only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to the medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort, as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent and undulated. The only stable thing in this whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a savant of sorts. Oya? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried lips. Yeah, Oya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains, but beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second, I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha. I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olia's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child vowing from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Oya ran at the table, her eyes round, and asked, You stole something and hid it there? Are you a thief? What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from the tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind black trees, Oya could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. And then show me. Swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Oya wore a plotting smile. I swear on Mom's heart. An oath she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we've watched. Don't say things like that. Oya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Oya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is this someone's mitten? She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it, and got lost himself. Now you do understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? He must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing this photo to everybody. Oya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later, for me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Oya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if we go and find this boy by myself. A lot of stuff like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Oya wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense, an owl won't be able to lift a human, silly child. But you know what? I was picking my words with the utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's how should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like that spooky tape Mom and Dad are hiding from us. Mom and Dad are hiding a spooky tape from us? Olia shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you? No, it's just... I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind, and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom won't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in a tower. Can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. And you have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children so we could go and play together like we used to. Oh? Yeah, and if you make them as small as bugs, we could place them in a little box. It's creepy. Oh yeah, I giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue went over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired, I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go. Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I will tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olia. Then draw me a dino. Olia, please. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? Oh. I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I never screamed at my little sister like that. Olia stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olia from crying. All right, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't want to. I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Bo, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. Well, close enough. Olia rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas and shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread and you'll rewind the tape? The bread is fresh, just how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk. Or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand, look for it. Olia disappeared into the doorway and I dragged my feet to the neighboring room. Turn on the TV, let's watch some cartoons. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch this channel again? On the other hand, Olia had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. Just too tired. Okay, what's in the cupboard? I sifted through the shelves full of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. The tape inside it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images whirled in my head, me and Olia flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister's laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I noticed that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees, the wings are no longer able to hold us, and Olia... You haven't started watching without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with the unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come, sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. Olia was entertained by the cartoonish dog Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too. Yeah, right. I'd have my own dog in the Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. Olia smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all of your baby teeth? Obviously. Olia frowned deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to his land with adult teeth? We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad forge documents? Olia took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. Hey, where? Her mom that did that before. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olia got worried and touched her ear. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinker Bell, and James Hook, as if she'd got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I also imagined myself there in a land where no one ever ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sounds of broken plates at night. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tony, shut the curtains fast. Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. There. I did my best not to look outside towards the treetops, towards the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scraping the snow. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up. And Dad, too, thinks I am a liar since I am small. But the owl exists. Honestly it does. Do you believe me, right? That it comes every night and... I swiftly grabbed Olia's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But Dad wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say. And they'll get tired of waiting and fly away. Will it, though? It was madness, but after everything that's happened recently, I was more and more inclined to believe Olia's owl existed. We gonna see it? We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Captain Pan was headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olia's eyelids had dropped, and she started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olia's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed, you should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Gosh. Thanks, Mom, you're so nice. Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that were my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Oh, okay. Wow. Thank you for completing episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Did you enjoy it? Yes. Do you want to know what happens next? Absolutely. We're working hard on the continuation. That was really, really cool, actually. Really intense at times as well. Wow, I didn't realize this was in multiple parts and that it wasn't finished. No! Holy crap. Well, there you have it, guys. That's apparently part 1, episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Really, really cool. I don't know what to make of it. It's really interesting, though, and I'm really curious to see. We never really met a tiny bunny. We never met the bunny character, so I guess we'll have to wait for the next parts to do that. A lot of reading. I hope you guys stuck around for it because it was a really cool story and just really intriguing, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, please leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think is going on. You're looking forward to seeing more of this? If you are, please let me know. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing because there's more games like this to come. And as always, thank you so very much for watching. You've been awesome. Let's play again soon, and I'll see you in the next video.